Okay, hello dear students, welcome back to our online classes. Children, in this session we are going to learn about lesson number 8 of our history textbook Devotional Paths to the Divine. This is the part 2nd video. Part 1st video I will upload immediately after this. So the saints of the Maharashtra. Saints of Maharashtra from 13th to the 17th century, Maharashtra saw a great number of saints, poets whose song is simple Marathi continue to inspire people. Now, in the 13th and the 17th century, there were a great number of saints in Maharashtra, and they used to use a simple Marathi language so that it could inspire people and which could be easily understood by the Maharashtrian people. Right? The most important among them were Jnaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath, and Tukaram, as well as the women like Sakhubai and the family of Chokhamela, who belong to the untouchable, that is Mahar caste. This regional tradition of bhakti focused on the Vithala, that is form of Vishnu, temple in Pandharpur, as well as a notion of a personal god residing in the hearts of all the people. These saints poets rejected all the forms of ritualism, outward display of pity, and social differences based on birth. In fact, they even rejected the idea of renunciation and preferred to live with their families, earning their livelihood like any other person, while humbly serving fellow human beings in need. A new humanist idea emerged as they insisted that bhakti, just a moment, that the bhakti lay in sharing others' pain, as the famous Gujarati saint Narsi Mehta said. They are the Vaishnavas who understand the pains of others. Now, the saints of Maharashtra, they were completely against what? The ritualism. Means they rejected all the forms of ritualism, and even they were against the social differences which were based on the birth. That means they were against the caste discrimination, they were against the creed discrimination, and also they even rejected the idea of renunciation. Renunciation means what? Sannyas, right? So they rejected the idea of sannyas. What they said, they preferred living in the families. They had their families and they earned their livelihood how the normal people used to live, and they humbly they served the human beings, those who needed they served the society, whoever were in need, the people whoever in need of this, they used to serve them. Understood? A new humanist idea, and because of this, what happened? Humanist idea manuski vadu lagli. Okay, so that is why the reason a new humanist idea emerged. They understood the pains of the people, they understood the pain of a society, and they started working on it. So looking at this, the famous Gujarati saint Narsi Mehta, what he said, that they are Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas means who? Who can understand the pain of the others, who cannot see the pain of the others. Okay, now there is a very famous Abhanga of Santa Tukaram. He who identifies with the battered and the beaten, mark him as a saint, for God is with him. Now, he who identifies the battered and the beaten means what? Battered means what? Who is no longer looking new. Okay, and who is he who identifies such people, who says that these people are mine, I can understand the suffering, I want to share the pain of the others. Such people according to him are the saints. Okay, such people according to him are the people in whom God resides. He holds every forsaken man close to his heart. He treats a slave as his own, and also who is a forsaken. Forsaken means what? Who is abandoned, who has no one in the world. Okay, so such person, if you hold him close to your heart, and if you are treating your slave as your own son, then Sant Tukaram says that you are a god, you are a saint, a God is residing in you. Says Tuka, I won't be tired to repeat again, such a man is God in person. Tukaram Maharaj, what he says, that I won't deny this person to call a God 100 times. Even though I want to say the God, I will repeat him as a God again and again, that this man is a God because he is doing all good deeds. Okay, he is understanding the pain of the others. Okay, he is understanding the humanity. Here is also an Abhanga composed by Chokhamela's son. Here you can see the Abhanga which is also composed by Chokhamela's son. Chokhamela was belonging to the Mahar caste, which was considered to be untouchable. Now, so according to that, he has written an Abhanga. You made us low caste. Why don't you face that fact, great God? Our whole life left our food to eat. You should be ashamed of this. You have eaten in our home. How can you deny it? Chokha's son, Karamamela, asked, why did you give me life? So this is why they are saying that they had lot of sufferings because they belong to the lower caste. And he is asking a question, if you wanted to give us such a lot of pain, then why have you given us the life? Okay, so this is a Abhanga written by Chokhamela. Now, Nathpanthis, Siddhas and the Yogis, a number of religious groups that emerged during this period criticized the ritual and the other aspects of conventional religion and the social order. Using them, simple logical arguments, among them were Nathpanthis, Siddhacharis and the Yogis. They advocated renunciation. That means they believed in taking sannyas. Okay, so to them the path of salvation lay in the meditation on the formless, ultimate reality and the realization of the oneness with it. To achieve it, they advocated intense training of mind and body to practices like yogasanas, breathing exercise, and meditation. These groups became particularly popular among the low caste. Their criticism of conventional religion created the ground of devotional religion to become a popular force in the northern India. So these people, they believed in the renunciation. So, and they also thoroughly practiced the yogasanas, breathing exercise, meditation. So in short, they were yogis. See here, there is a picture. They were yogis. Okay, they believed in the renunciation. They didn't had their families. त्यांनी संन्यास घेतलेला होता. Okay, now Islam and Sufism. Now we'll learn about the Islam and the Sufism. The sons had much in the common with the Sufis. Okay, the sons had much in the common with the Sufis, so much as that it is believed that they adopted many ideas of each other. Now, sons and the Sufis had lot of common things in them, that it is believed that they adopted each other's ideas. Sufis were Muslim mystics. Now, what is the meaning of mystics? A person who spends his life communicating with the God. Okay, so Sufis were Muslim mystics. They rejected outward religiosity. Now they rejected outward religiosity. Religiosity means what? Strong religious feeling or belief. They said that their outward religiosity, they didn't believe in it, and emphasized love and devotion of God and compassion towards all fellow human beings. Islam propagated strict monotheism. Now here the word monotheism, you should understand the meaning of monotheism. Monotheism, that means the belief that there is only one God. Monotheism means what? A belief that there is only one God. Islam propagated a strict monotheism or submission to one God. In the 8th and 9th century, religious scholars developed different aspects to the holy law, that is Shariat, and theology of Islam. While the religion of Islam gradually became more complex, Sufis provided it with an additional dimension that favored a more personal devotion to God. The Sufis often rejected the elaborate rituals and codes of behavior demanded by Muslim religious scholars. Now, Sufis were against the rituals, that were the big, huge rituals which were demanded by who? The Muslim religious scholars. They thought that union with the God, much as a lover seeks with beloved, with a disagreed for the world. What they said कि अल्लाह से मोहब्बत होनी चाहिए. Okay, like the saints, poems, the Sufis to composed poem expressing their feelings and the rich literature in prose, including anecdotes. Now, means what, my dear children? Anecdotes means short stories. Okay, so where was I? Okay. Like the saints' poems, the Sufis to compose poems expressing their feelings. Like how the saints used to write the poems, same way the Sufis also compose the poems to express their feelings and the rich literature in prose, including anecdotes and fables, that are the short stories developed around them. Among the great Sufis of the Central Asia were Ghazali, Rumi and Sadi. Like the Nathpanthis, Siddhas and Yogis, the Sufis too believed that heart can be trained to look at the world in a different way. They developed elaborate method of training using zikr, that is chanting of a name or a sacred formula. Contemplation. What is the meaning of contemplation? That means thinking spiritually. Now, contemplation, sama, that is singing, rags, that is dancing, discussion of parables. Now, what is the meaning of parables? The parables are the story that gives us messages. Okay, the discussion of parables, breath control, etc. Such all things were done by the Sufi peoples under the guidance of the master, or he was also known as peer. Okay, this emerged the silsilas, a spiritual genealogy of Sufi teachers, such following a slightly different method, that is tariqa, of instruction and ritual practice. So now here see, a large number of Sufis from Central Asia settled in Hindustan from the 11th century onwards. This process was strengthened with the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate, when several major Sufi centers developed all over the subcontinent. The Chishti Silsila was among the most influential order. It had a long line of teachers like Khwaja Minuddin Chishti of Ajmer, Kutubuddin Bakhtiar Kakki of Delhi, Baba Farid of Punjab, Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya of Delhi, now Banda Nawaz Gizudaraz of Gulbarga. So these are all the Sufi saints. Now the Sufi masters held their assemblies in their khanqahs or hospices. Hospice means what? See here they have given the meaning. Hospice is a house of rest for travelers, especially one kept by a religious order. So this is a house where the travelers used to live, who used to visit Sufi saints. Devotees of all the descriptions, including members of the royalty, nobility, everybody, with the royal kings, queens, okay, they used to come, emperors used to come to visit the Sufi saints. Okay, devotees of all the descriptions, including members of the royalty, nobility, and the ordinary people, flocked to these khanqahs. They discussed spiritual matters, sought the blessings of the saints in solving their worldly problems, or simply attended the music and dance session. They discuss all the spiritual, whatever they thought spiritual means what? Adhyatmic. Okay, so they discussed all the matters regarding, and also they took the blessings from the saint, and whatever problems they had, they discussed with them, and some of them simply attended the music and the dance session. Often people attributed Sufi masters with miraculous powers that could relieve others of their illness and troubles. Now what happened? People used to go, if they had any illness, if they had any troubles, they believed that they had a miraculous powers with them, and due to this they visited them. The tomb or the dargah of a Sufi saint became a place of a pilgrimage to which thousands of people of all the faiths thronged. So it eventually became a place where thousands of pilgrims went, so that they could get relief from their pains. Okay. Now Jalaluddin Rumi was a great 13th Jalaluddin Rumi was a great 13th century Sufi poet from the Iran who wrote in Persian. Here, what he wrote in Persian, he has an extract from his work. What he wrote, we'll see. He was not in the cross of a Christians. I went to the Hindu temples, and none of them there was any sign. He was not on the height or in the lowlands. I went to the Kaaba of Makkah. He was not there. I asked about him in Avicenna, the philosopher. He was beyond the range of Avicenna. I looked into my heart. In that his place, I saw him. He was in no other place. He means who? Here the he means God. Now what he says, I went and saw in the church, he was not in the cross of Christians. I went to the Hindu temples. Even I didn't see any sign of a God in Hindu temples. I went to the Makkah. Even therein I didn't saw any God. Then when I looked inside my heart, I saw God is residing inside my heart. That means this is a very beautiful poem. God stays in us. Whatever good deeds, whatever good things we do every day, it is because of our good feeling, our good. We should always see ourselves that we should have a fear of God in us. Understood, dear children? So that whatever things we do will go in a good way. Understood? Now, new religious development in North India. The period after 13th century saw a new wave of a bhakti movement in North India. This was an age when Islam, Brahmanical Hinduism, Sufism, various strands of bhakti and the Nathpans, Siddhis and Yogas influenced one another. We saw new towns from chapter 6 and kingdoms were emerging, and people were taking up new professions and finding new roles for themselves. Such people, especially craftspersons, peasants, traders, and laborers, thronged to listen to this new sense and spread their ideas. Some of them, like Kabir and Baba Guru Nanak, rejected all the orthodox religions. Others like Tulsidas and Surdas accepted existing beliefs and practiced but wanted to make them accessible to all. Tulsidas convinced of God in the form of Rama. Tulsidas' composition, the Ramacharitra Manas, written in Awadhi. Awadhi was a language used in eastern Uttar Pradesh. Is important both as an expression of his devotion and as a literary work. Surdas was an ardent devotee of Krishna. His composition compiled in Surasagara, Surasarvalli and Sahitya Lahari express his devotion. Also contemporary was Shankar Deva of Assam, late 15th century, who emphasized devotion of Vishnu and composed poems and plays in Assamese. He began the practice of setting up namghars or houses of recitation and prayer. He practiced that continues today. This tradition also included saints like Dadu Dayal, Ravidas, and Mirabai. Now, who was Mirabai? Mirabai was a Rajput princess who married in a royal family in Mewar in the 16th century. Mirabai became a disciple of Ravidas, a saint from a caste considered untouchable. She was devoted to Krishna and composed innumerable bhajans expressing her intense devotion. Her songs also openly challenged the norms of the upper caste and became popular with the masses in Rajasthan and Gujarat. A unique feature of most of the saints is that their work were composed in regional languages and could be sung. They became immensely popular and were handed down orally from generation to generation. Usually, the poorest, most deprived communities and the women transmitted these songs, often adding their own experiences. Thus, the songs as we have them today are as much as a creation of the saints as of the generation of people who sang them. They have become a part of our living popular culture. Beyond the Rana's palace. This is a song composed by Mirabai. Rana ji, I have left your norms of shame and false decorum of a princely life. I have left your town, and yet, Rana, why have you kept up enmity against me? Rana, you gave me a cup of poison. I drank it laughingly. Rana, I will not be destroyed by you. And yet, Rana, why have you kept enmity against me? This is a very beautiful poem composed by Saint Mirabai, who was a greatest devotee of Krishna. Okay, I think we'll wait here. It has become too long. Thank you for watching, dear children. Thank you and have a nice day.